My phone rang just after sunset. It was Clara, my mother-in-law. I almost didn't answer. We usually talked on Sundays, not weeknights, but something told me to pick up. The second I heard her voice, my stomach dropped. She was crying, barely breathing between her words. "Alyssa," she said, "don't trust him. Please, just leave with the kids tonight." My hands were shaking. I asked her what she meant. Her voice broke again. "I found out who he really is." That's when something shifted in me. A part of me that still wanted to believe everything was okay clashed with a louder part screaming that it wasn't. I hung up and walked straight to our bedroom. I didn't know what I expected to find. Maybe him watching TV, maybe denial, maybe confusion. But he was already packing. Our bedroom floor was covered in half-zipped duffel bags, his suits, our photo albums, Liam's stuffed dinosaur. When he turned around, there was a look on his face I had never seen before. His eyes were wild, but his mouth was calm. Too calm. I had been married to this man for 8 years, and in that moment I realized something terrifying. I didn't know him at all. Before that phone call, my life felt almost boring in the best way. Our mornings were quiet, a little chaotic with 2 kids under 7, but warm. I'd wake up to Emma crawling into bed with me, her tiny hands cold and determined to find my face. Liam, always the early riser, would already be in the kitchen flipping through his dinosaur books while Derek made his one perfect cup of black coffee. No cream, no sugar, just the way he liked it. I'd pack their lunches while Emma talked to me about fairies and Liam asked for waffles that looked like a triceratops. That was our rhythm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. We lived in a modest 2-story home in a suburb outside Columbus, Ohio, the kind of place where neighbors wave whether they know you or not. Our street smelled like cut grass and dryer sheets. Derek worked long hours as a corporate consultant for a logistics firm I could never quite explain to people. I stayed home with the kids, managing everything from grocery lists to bedtime tantrums. Derek and I met 9 years ago at a charity run downtown. He was helping at the registration table. I was just there for the free t-shirt and snacks. He was polite, funny in a dry way, and a little hard to read. We went out the next weekend and never really stopped. A year later, we got married at a courthouse, then hosted a backyard barbecue in his mom's yard. It wasn't a fairy tale, but it was real. At least, I thought it was. Our marriage had normal stress, nothing dramatic. We fought sometimes, but it was never yelling. More like quiet moments where I wished he would meet me halfway and he didn't. Derek was the kind of man who handled things silently. He didn't like to talk about feelings or the past or what he was afraid of. I used to think that made him strong. Now I wonder if it just made him unknowable. Clara, his mom, wasn't easy in the beginning. She came off skeptical of me, like I was some impulsive choice Derek made that she didn't quite trust. But over the years, we found a rhythm. I think having the kids softened her toward me. She was the one who taught me how to get Emma to sleep when nothing else worked. She told me that Liam had Derek's exact stubborn streak, and she meant it like it was a compliment. We talked almost every week, especially after Derek's father passed 2 years ago. She would tell me little things about Derek's childhood, things he never talked about. Looking back, there were signs, strange gaps in stories, times he would panic if his name was misspelled on mail. He never kept childhood photos in the house. When I asked him why, he said he lost most of his stuff in a move. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was a good dad. That part was never fake. He coached Liam's t-ball team even when he barely knew the rules. He danced with Emma in the living room, lifting her like she was made of glass. He kissed me on the forehead every night before bed, even if we hadn't spoken much that day. That meant something. At least it used to. The month before Clara's call, Derek started acting different. Subtle things. He got home later but said it was a new project at work. He kept his phone close, even in the bathroom. One night I reached for his coat to hang it up and he startled like I had caught him stealing. I laughed it off. He didn't. I told myself not to spiral. We had 2 kids, a mortgage, a minivan with crushed Cheerios in the back seat. We were grown-ups. We didn't chase ghosts or jump to conclusions. But I was starting to feel like I was living with a stranger. One night, after the kids were asleep, I asked him if something was wrong. He said no, just tired. He kissed my cheek and asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I said yes, and we fell asleep on the couch with the TV still on. That moment felt normal, but it was one of the last ones that did. The day Clara called, we had just come back from a school field trip to the Science Museum. Liam was excited about the fossils. Emma had fallen asleep in her car seat with chocolate on her chin. I was making chicken tenders for dinner. Derek texted that he'd be home late, again. Then the phone rang. I was still in my kitchen, barefoot, holding a towel, when everything I thought I knew started to fall apart. I had never heard Clara sound like that before. She's the kind of woman who keeps her voice steady even in hard moments. She held herself together when her husband died. She kept it together when Derek lost his job 5 years ago and drank too much for a while. But on that call, she was broken. Her voice was thick with panic. She didn't even say hello. "Alyssa," she gasped, "don't trust him. Please, just leave with the kids tonight." At first, I thought she meant something had happened to Derek. Maybe he'd gotten into trouble at work or there'd been an accident. I froze, holding the phone to my ear like it would give me answers if I just stayed still long enough. "What are you talking about?" I asked, already gripping the edge of the kitchen counter to steady myself. Clara was crying hard now. Her breath hitched as she spoke. "I found out who he really is," she said. "He's not who he says he is. You need to get the kids out of there." "What do you mean? Clara, stop. Just tell me what's going on." She paused, and in that moment I could hear everything she wasn't saying. The silence was louder than her sobs had been. "I shouldn't have said anything," she whispered. "Just go." Then the call dropped. I stood there, phone in hand, heart hammering in my chest. The kids were still in the living room, watching a cartoon and arguing over which dinosaur would win in a fight. Their voices felt a world away. I called her back. It rang 5 times and went to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. A dozen thoughts hit me all at once. Was Derek cheating? Had he hurt someone? Was Clara confused? Delusional? Did she find something in his past he had kept buried? My mind raced through every crime show I'd ever watched, and suddenly, none of it seemed far-fetched. The man I had married was steady, practical, maybe a little distant, but he was not a liar, or so I thought. But then something sharper cut through my confusion, a memory. Last week, Derek had told me not to open a package that came in his name. "Just business stuff," he said. His voice had been too casual, too rehearsed. I had forgotten all about it. And then another. A few months ago, I found a burner phone in the back of his sock drawer. He said it was an old work phone he forgot to return. He had laughed and tossed it in the trash. I never saw it again. I told myself I was overthinking. But the more I stood there replaying Clara's voice in my head, the less sense any of it made. This wasn't just a bad week or a weird phase. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. I wanted to run. Grab the kids, toss snacks in a bag, get in the car, and drive to Clara's. But I also needed answers. If I left without knowing, I'd never be able to breathe again. I needed to see Derek. I needed to look into his eyes and ask him directly what the hell was going on. I walked upstairs. The hallway was quiet. Our bedroom door was half closed. I pushed it open and stopped cold. Derek was standing by the closet, pulling clothes from hangers and stuffing them into a black duffel bag. His back was turned to me. On the bed, his passport, a wad of cash, and a manila folder lay beside his laptop. My voice came out too steady. "What are you doing?" He froze, turned around slowly. I had seen that face for nearly a decade, but something was wrong with it now. His eyes were glassy and wide, and his mouth was pulled tight like he was holding back a scream. "Alyssa," he said, like he hadn't expected to see me. "What's going on?" I asked. "Your mom just called me. She told me not to trust you, to leave, to take the kids and go. What the hell is happening?" He looked at me for a long time, like he was trying to decide whether to lie or confess. Then he dropped the shirt in his hands and sat down on the edge of the bed. "I was going to tell you," he said, "but it's too late now." "Tell me what?" His eyes locked with mine. "You and the kids need to go, tonight. I'll explain everything, but not here. Not now. Just take them to Clara's. You'll be safe there." I stepped closer. "Derek, no, you're not doing this. What are you hiding? What's in that folder?" He didn't move. "I never meant for this to touch you or the kids." "Touch us how? Derek, answer me." He stood up, walked to the door, and peeked down the hallway. Then he turned back and said something I will never forget. "They know where I am now." That's when I stopped asking questions. That's when the fear stopped being abstract. Whatever he had done, it was real, and it was close. I could feel it in the way his hands shook, in the way his body stayed turned toward the window like he was expecting headlights to pull into our driveway at any second. I didn't know who they were, but I knew I had to protect my kids, and that started with knowing the truth. For a moment, we just stood there. Derek by the window, watching the street like it might betray him. Me frozen in place, trying to piece together the man in front of me with the one I thought I knew. My mind couldn't catch up with what my eyes were seeing. The bags, the cash, the fear. "Derek, talk to me," I said. My voice came out low and shaking. "You can't just say they know where I am and expect me to stay quiet. Who knows? What did you do?" He didn't look at me. His hand rested on the curtain, fingers twitching slightly. "I was trying to fix it before it got to this point," he said. "I thought I had more time." "What are you talking about?" I snapped. "What is this? Are we in danger?" He finally turned. His face was pale. "Not yet. But you could be. That's why you need to leave. Take the kids. Go to Clara's tonight. Don't come back until I say it's safe." "You don't get to make that decision," I said. "If something is threatening our family, I need to know what it is." His eyes dropped to the floor. For a moment, I thought he might lie again, but instead he walked to the bed and picked up the manila folder. He held it out. "Look at it." I hesitated. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were printed documents, names, locations, financial records. Most of it meant nothing to me, but my eyes caught on one name repeated over and over again. It wasn't Derek Monroe, it was Evan Miles. "Who's Evan Miles?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. He let out a breath. "That's me, or it was, before I changed everything." I looked up at him. "You're not Derek. I am now, but I used to be someone else." I couldn't breathe. "What the hell does that mean?" He sat down again, hands locked between his knees. "Before I met you, I worked for a company that looked legitimate on paper. Shipping, logistics, import-export, all of it sounded clean. But it wasn't. They were using the business to move money and weapons through ports. I didn't know at first, but by the time I found out, I was already involved. They had everything on me. Bank records, phone calls, photos. I was going to prison or worse." He looked me straight in the eye. "So I turned them in, gave the feds everything. Names, deals, dates. In exchange, they gave me a new identity and a way out." I felt dizzy. "You went into witness protection." He nodded. "And that's when I became Derek Monroe." I stared at the man I had lived with for almost a decade, the man who held our children the night they were born, and I didn't know what to say. I felt betrayed, exposed, and somehow responsible for something I never saw coming. "You lied to me," I said, "for our entire marriage." "I never lied about how I feel about you," he said quickly. "Or the kids. That's always been real. I never wanted to hurt you. I thought I could keep you safe by keeping you out of it. And now," he ran a hand through his hair, "they found me. I got a message yesterday through an old encrypted account I hadn't touched in years. No name. Just a photo of me dropping Liam off at school. A warning." My knees almost buckled. I sat on the edge of the bed. My first thought was Liam, his little dinosaur backpack, his bright blue sneakers. Someone had watched us. "They're not going to hurt you," Derek said quickly. "They want me. But if you're here when they come, they'll use you to get to me." I stood. "We're not waiting for that." He looked at me, surprised. "What?" "You said go, so I'm going. But not because you told me to. Because I have to protect our children. I'm going to take them to Clara's. But you're going to tell me everything I need to know before I walk out that door." He nodded. Over the next hour, he laid it out. The people he turned in. The threats that had followed him even after the government swore it was over. The name changes. The buried files. The private security protocols he had quietly kept in place. He told me he had always known this day might come, that he thought he could outrun it, that he was wrong. I packed quickly. Pajamas, snacks, diapers, chargers, stuffed animals, Emma's pink blanket, Liam's sketchbook. I moved like a machine, my mind racing even as my hands stayed steady. Derek walked us out to the car. He kissed Emma's forehead while she slept in her car seat. He hugged Liam, whispering something I didn't hear. When he looked at me, there were tears in his eyes. "I love you," he said. "Even if you hate me, I still love you." "I don't hate you," I said. "I just don't know who you are." He stepped back. I got in the car and drove toward Clara's house, not looking back once. Clara didn't ask questions when I showed up at her door just after midnight. She saw the kids asleep in the back seat, the look on my face, and she understood enough. She opened the door wide and wrapped her arms around me. "You did the right thing," she said. "You did what you had to." I carried Emma in while Clara took Liam. Her house was warm and quiet. I laid the kids down in the guest room, pulled the blankets over them, kissed their cheeks, and just stood there. I didn't know what I was waiting for. Maybe a sign, maybe nothing at all. Clara handed me a glass of water in the kitchen. She sat across from me at the table. "I should have told you sooner," she said. "I found out the truth 2 days ago." "How?" I asked. "Why now?" She looked ashamed. "He didn't tell me everything either. When he first became Derek, he cut ties with nearly everyone. But I knew something wasn't right. His habits changed, the way he carried himself. And then I found an old external hard drive when I was cleaning out his father's desk. It had encrypted files. I called a friend who used to work in IT for the state. He cracked one of the folders. What I found scared me." She paused. "Photos, documents, bank statements in different names, maps. I thought he was running some kind of scam at first. Then I realized he was running from something." She said she confronted him that morning. He admitted it, told her the whole story. She wanted to call me right then, but he made her promise to give him time. But when she heard how serious it had gotten, when he told her about the photo of Liam, she broke that promise. "I know you think I never really trusted you," she said, "but I did. That's why I called. You're the only one who's ever really seen him, even when he was pretending." I didn't know what to say. All I could feel was this dense pressure in my chest, like every truth I'd ever known had cracked open. I had left my home, my life, because of something that didn't belong to me. And now I was sitting at a kitchen table in borrowed clothes with my world in pieces. I stayed up all night. I couldn't sleep. Around 5 a.m., Clara came into the living room with her robe wrapped tightly around her and said the FBI had called. They were sending an agent to talk to me. My hands turned cold. When the agent arrived, he didn't come in a black SUV. No flashing lights, just a gray sedan and a clean-cut man in a windbreaker with a folder tucked under his arm. He introduced himself as Agent Walker and asked if we could talk privately. We sat on Clara's back porch. The morning was foggy and cool. He spoke gently, like I might break if he raised his voice. "I know this is a lot, but I need you to understand something. Your husband, Derek, is not a criminal. He's a witness, a protected asset, and right now his safety is in serious jeopardy." "Why now?" I asked. "Why after all this time?" There was a breach in one of our older databases. It exposed several former identities, including his. We believe the group he helped us take down has reformed under new leadership. He's a high-value target. I asked if we were safe. He nodded. "As of now, yes." "You made the right call by leaving. He insisted we prioritize your protection before anything else. He's cooperating fully. We're moving him again off-grid this time. You won't be able to contact him." Something about that hit harder than anything else had. I would never speak to him again. No goodbyes, no explanations, no chance to ask the questions that still echoed inside me. "Is he going to be okay?" I asked. "I can't promise anything," Agent Walker said, "but he made his choice. He chose to protect you." He left soon after, leaving behind a card with a direct number and a pamphlet about witness family relocation support. I stared at it like it belonged to someone else's life. Clara helped me explain things to Liam in a way that didn't terrify him. We told him Daddy had to go help some people for a long time, that he was brave and that he loved us. Emma was too young to ask questions. She just wanted her bunny and someone to hold her at night. Later that evening, as I folded their pajamas and tucked their toothbrushes into a drawer, I found a letter under Emma's blanket. It was from Derek. Just 1 page. His handwriting was rushed, but clear. "Alyssa, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I didn't want to disappear like this, but it was the only way to keep you safe. I know I took your trust and broke it in ways I can never repair, but I swear to you, everything I ever felt for you was real. You saved me. You gave me a life I never thought I deserved. Tell the kids I love them, every minute, every day. Derek. I held that letter to my chest and let myself cry for the first time since this all began. Not because I wanted him back, but because part of me still did. Some stories don't end with justice or closure. Some end with silence, with questions that never get answered, and a version of love that doesn't survive the truth. That's what I've learned. In the weeks after Derek disappeared, life slowed to something unfamiliar. It wasn't normal, but it was quiet. Clara and I settled into a rhythm again. She helped with the kids while I met with lawyers and filled out government forms that made me feel like a stranger in my own life. The FBI made good on their promise to keep us safe. We were assigned a contact, a secure address, and a plan, but no one could give me back what I lost. Not my husband, not the certainty that the man I married even existed. Liam asked for his father every night for the first 2 weeks. I told him the truth in pieces. I said Daddy had to leave to keep us safe, that he didn't do anything bad, but there were people who wanted to hurt him because he helped the right side. Liam accepted that more easily than I thought he would. Kids are stronger than we give them credit for. Emma just wanted hugs. She started carrying Derek's old baseball cap around the house, the one he wore on weekend grocery runs and while mowing the lawn. She would drag it behind her like a blanket and sleep with it clutched in her arms. I let her. It smelled like him. She needed it more than I needed to put it away. Clara became more than just my mother-in-law. She became the person who sat with me on the kitchen floor when I couldn't breathe from the weight of it all. She cried with me, not just for her son, but for the version of him we both had to let go. She told me once that Derek was never soft as a child, always watchful, always keeping something in. She said the first time she saw him laugh without looking over his shoulder was the day he held Liam for the first time. He was real with you, she said. That's what scares me most. It's strange how betrayal and love can live in the same memory, how I can hold so much anger in my chest and still ache when I see a photo of him and the kids at the zoo. I look at those moments and ask myself if they were real, and the hardest part is knowing they were. I used to believe that trust was something permanent, that once you gave it, it stayed unless someone shattered it. Now I see it differently. Trust is something you wake up and choose again and again. Derek made the wrong choices before I met him, but for a long time, he chose to protect us, even from himself. That doesn't undo the lies, but it does complicate the hate. One night, about 2 months after everything happened, I sat on the back porch with a glass of wine and watched the stars. The kids were asleep. Clara had gone to bed. The world was still. For the first time in a long time, I let myself breathe without waiting for something to fall apart. That was when I stopped thinking about him as Derek or Evan. I just thought about the man who gave me 2 children, who made pancakes on Sundays, who danced with our daughter while the news played in the background, the man who built a life on a lie but fought to keep us out of the fire when it came for him. I don't know where he is. The FBI won't tell me. I've accepted that I may never hear his voice again or get the answers I want, but I did get one thing, a life. Not the one I expected, not the one I built with him, but one where my children are safe, where I'm still standing, and where I know now that love doesn't always come wrapped in truth. Sometimes it comes with scars. People ask me if I would have married him if I had known the truth, if I would have walked away when I had the chance. I never answer that because it doesn't matter. I did love him, and for better or worse, he loved us too. That has to be enough. The kids and I moved to a new home 6 months later, a small rental with a garden out back. It's nothing fancy, but it's ours. Liam plays soccer now. Emma is in preschool. Every so often she asks about her daddy, and I tell her the same thing every time. He had to go away, but he loved you very much. That part is still true. That part no one can take away. Life doesn't always give us clear answers. Sometimes we're left with memories, choices, and the quiet strength it takes to move forward without the full truth. But if you've ever had to walk away from someone you loved for the sake of something greater, your safety, your children, your peace, I want you to know you're not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. If it moved you, made you think, or reminded you of your own strength, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts or your story too. And if you want more real stories like this, raw, emotional, and unfiltered, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss one. Until next time, take care of yourself and protect what matters most.